Oh,
He's not going to get
yeah.
suspended as we bring in James Ham here at his home studios, the palatial estates there, Hamsterdam, as we've called it. Favorite game yesterday? It had to be the night one, right, Hammer?
Oh, yeah, the night game was amazing. Yeah, but I will say, like, there was good football throughout the day. I really enjoyed the 49ers game. Just watching Brock Purdy figure it out. I really enjoyed that Steelers Jets game. It was just good to have football back on all day, all Sunday. It was nice.
Yeah, man. That we talked about it a little bit during the handoff, but that Sunday night game, I mean, those two guys, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Kyle had the tweet. He said, "Sign me up for a 7-game series." It is. Yeah, I can see those two guys along with Burrow and Mahomes play each other all the time, man. They those guys never disappoint. When those guys link up, like those four guys, they never disappoint in this whole little era, the last 3-4 years. Whenever they play each other, it's great games, it's great drama. You see the best of everybody involved. And last night was just another example of that.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer that they're all in the AFC, so we don't get to see them
Oh,
face each other in the Super Bowl, because I don't think any of the other quarterbacks are up to that standard. I think the best 4 quarterbacks in the NFL are in the AFC. I don't even think it's really all that close. You're talking about 4, like, surefire Hall of Famers, guys with MVPs, guys that have been to the Super Bowl before, or at least a couple of them have. But it's just like the depth at the quarterback position in the AFC is just absolutely incredible. You know, even where you have some of these guys have huge weeks this week. You know, whether it's Aaron Rodgers having a huge week, or even Daniel Jones having a huge week. It's just like, hey, it doesn't matter. You're in a league with superstars at your position, and you're going to kind of get buried by it.
Um, Hammer, let's dive into a little Kings basketball here. We're 3 weeks from media day, right? 3 weeks from today.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's
And
wild.
yeah, like that's always the thing about the NFL season that makes me laugh a little bit is like we wait, we wait, we wait. It's like, all right, man, football's here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then before we know it, in the blink of an eye, the Kings are at camp and like, oh man, we had this great game between the Ravens and the Bills last night. But my goodness, did you see what Isaac Jones did? Did you hear Doug Christie's comments about Isaac Jones in the second day of practice?
They took him to the roof of the Golden One Center again.
The night practice was crazy last night, James. Tell us about it. And that's just the love the city has for their basketball team, I guess, but it's always fun.
Yeah, it's cool because we've gone through like this huge stretch of games where, I mean, this huge stretch of weeks, maybe even months where there's nothing going on. I mean, we're on day 64 or something of Kaminga Watch.
Right.
Kaminga Watch.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps going. And that's just because it is the dog days of summer. There's nothing going on. All of a sudden, you have the NFL, and then you start peppering in the NBA. And like, look, I think the NBA preseason and training camp is a lot more intriguing than the NFL version of. And so I think it's kind of cool that we all of a sudden we're like in a sprint. We've got so much stuff going on. And I was on my way home, and the wife asked me how radio went. I'm like, easiest show ever. You just show up and talk football for 15 minutes, and it's really 2 hours, and then you leave. Yeah, it's super easy to cover these days. Although the workload changes for me dramatically once we get to like mid-October.
Did you see any performances in that week one that I'm getting to the Kings here that remind you of like what you see from the Kings, like the team that is good, but they're not going anywhere. Like we know where this is going to end up. Like for instance, I look at the Lions like that. I look at the Lions like it's a good team, but their window is done. Like how people look at the Kings. Well, I look at the Kings. They're a good team, but they're not going anywhere. That's how I look at the Lions.
Yeah, I'm not ready to put the Lions in that category yet. Just to be honest with you, they were incredible last year. They lost a couple of coordinators. They need to make some adjustments, but the rest of the group is still there. Now, yeah, it could happen where, Goff just isn't good enough and he's just not good enough without the right offensive coordinator. And that's totally a possibility, but it's also possible that he figures something out with his new coordinators and they start growing and they look like the team that they were last year. I still think that team is packed with talent. Um, I guess if we're to look at even the Steelers and Jets game, that's probably two teams where you're like, okay, I don't really know where the pathway is here with these two teams. It was a fun game. But did the Steelers play up to the competition because it's Aaron Rodgers' former team? Did Fields play up to the competition because he didn't feel like he got a fair shake in Pittsburgh? Like what exactly happened there? Those two teams could be completely mid 2 weeks from now, and we're like, oh man, that was just like an aberration. But I do think that, you're hoping that the Kings can be better. And you know what? I think it was like strangely enough, we talked about it earlier. I think what you want to see from the Kings, like day one coming out of the shoot and like who are you, is kind of like what we saw from the Raiders. Like you're just competent. You're competent early on and you can build from there. Like as long as you look like you're going to beat the bad teams and go 50-50 against the good teams and, steal a couple from the great teams, I think we would feel pretty comfortable with this group. And it's not going to be easy because of the front half of their schedule. But I do think that that's what we're hoping for right off the bat. Like, show me some sort of structure that none of us are seeing right now. And if you can do that, then I'll feel a lot better. If you can do that over the first 10 games, over the first 15, get to game 20, and you're not so far in the hole that the season's already over, that's where I think, I would make the comp to what we saw from the Raiders yesterday.
Kings Steelers comp. I kind of like that. DeMar is Aaron Rodgers. DK Metcalf is Zach Levine. JJ Watt. I always do that. TJ Watt.
Bonus.
Can I give you a problem with what I think both the Raiders analogy and the Steelers analogy? And it's Doug. You know what Pete Carroll is. And you talked about competence, calming. You talked about functional, like that. That's Pete Carroll. We occasionally tell a Mike Tomlin joke or two, but like Mike Tomlin's a very, very good coach. More than anything, we know exactly what Mike Tomlin is. With Doug, we think we know what Doug is, but we're not exactly sure what Doug Christie is as a head coach. And that's as big of an element that we're going to figure out this upcoming season as anything else that's happening like on the floor.
Yeah, I think one of the things that the Kings did this summer that really kind of gives me hope on that avenue, because you're right, we have no idea, again, if he's a Kyle Shanahan type or if he is a Mike McDaniels type. We have no idea. But what I think the Kings did this offseason was bring in Mike Woodson, bring in, really, brought in Bobby Jackson to give Doug, one of his confidants, to bring in Mike Miller, who is, again, a very, very seasoned, like smart basketball mind that knows what he's doing, to retain some of the other guys. And so I do think that, like, when we look at how they structured this thing, it's kind of how I think the Raiders failed under Antonio Pierce. They didn't go out and add the right, like, solid pieces all around him. And, it's not easy to walk into an NBA season as like a leader of men type coach without a surefire, like, this is our structure, this is who we are. And that's what Doug has to, like, quickly establish. And I know he's already been talking to his players. He's already been, passing around ideas to his players about what type of team they want to be, what type of offense they want to run, and all that stuff. But like until it's out, on the court, we have no idea. We have no idea what it's going to look like. And so, yeah, it's a tough one. It probably is the biggest wild card, because again, I think Pete Carroll just instantly like brought like validation to the Raiders organization. Like they all of a sudden feel like a real NFL, franchise with a true pro at the head. And that's what you're hoping that Doug can do. And we just don't know. Like, and guys tune in, they tune out. You got to be somebody who's got to figure out a way to mix it up and to fully get buy-in, 100% buy-in. And then if he does get that, like we forget, like Doug coached a team for over 50 games and he was over 500 on the season. He was well over 500 at home, which is something that he's very proud of. I know because he jumped all over, I think it was me, for mentioning that they were so far under 500 on the team. And he stopped and said, no, I'm not under 500. They were under 500, but we're not under 500 anymore. So that's kind of where you're hoping that, Doug does have something that he can build on there.
I think
Sorry, I apologize. Aspirations name just popped up on my screen, and I had to see what's
going on.
This? Well, Ramona Shelburne said today on NBA Today that according to Clipper sources, Aspirations bid almost doubled the $550 million that Intuit successfully bid for the naming rights to the new building. The Clippers chose to go with the more well-established company and brand, which leads me to believe somebody knew something about this company where they willingly turned down, according to this, about, let's see, almost double the 500. So would it be $550 million?
Yeah.
If that's what Intuit paid for the naming rights. I had read something that Aspiration bid for the naming rights of the arena. I mean, Steve Ballmer might have even said that in that conversation, but I saw it reported somewhere, but had never seen the dollar figure attached to it. Who goes, nah, we'll take the bid for half.
So
and we're talking a billion, right? That's what you're saying. It
Yeah.
was 550 million is what he got.
Yes, Aspirations bid almost doubled the $550 million that that Intuit successfully bid for the naming rights to the new building.
That's like 1.1 billion.
Isn't this good for Ballmer's argument?
Okay, let's work for that for a second. What, Mr. Ballmer, sir? Because I love when you play Steve Ballmer. Why would you turn down a bid that nearly doubled what Intuit offered?
It just didn't feel right. It just didn't. I was more comfortable with Intuit, and
what didn't feel right about it, Mr. Ballmer?
When you've made as much money as I have, sometimes you just got to go with your gut.
Sir, you donated $50 million to this company.
I did. I was a believer in some of the things that they were,
but not a believer enough to put them on your new building.
Keep interrupting me when I'm answering these questions.
So you're not actually
answering the moment where you just distract everyone by grabbing his thigh.
But the way I look at it though is if they're in cahoots, then you're going with your people for their naming rights. If I'm feeding them money and they're paying my guy and all this other stuff, then we're going to do everything together.
Unless they know it's not a real company.
Yeah, he may have found that out. But the whole thought of he was Aspiration, like he was in cahoots with him the whole time. If we're in cahoots, I'm going to go with you with the naming rights. Or maybe like you said, at that point, you know what? I'm going to get off this train. I don't really know what you guys got going on. It's whatever. But that goes to the point of he truthfully got conned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of when that comes out, especially from Ramona Shelburne.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's proof that we weren't as tight as you guys are making it out to be. And I got conned just like everybody else, just like I said the other day.
Yeah. It seems like they're telling someone something just to make sure that everyone understands that they weren't in cahoots with that group.
That's what
I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to play out. I certainly think that right now they're doing a PR, tour to make sure that they look as clean as possible in this situation. I just don't know, again, he's a businessman, and like a 1.1 billion or even just $1 billion endorsement for your arena, doesn't that set records? And wouldn't that be something that Steve Ballmer is interested in? I mean, he could also have looked at it and said, "Ooh, I don't want to be the Maloofs," and buy into a fake
Power
bracelets,
balance. Yeah.
power balance pavilion. Yeah, I mean, those guys even gave us one. I had one, for like, I don't know, 6 months.
Did you tell people, hey, pull my arm,
Push me.
try to push
me right now.
Try to push me.
I should probably sue all of them and say that's what happened to my back. When I
You
wore
should.
your power balance, and it knocked me off kilter. And yeah,
I had people walking around pushing me all of the time because of this bracelet.
But so what you were saying as well is, yeah, he probably knew it was about to go all bad. Like, absolutely, he knew it was about to go all bad, or it wasn't real, or whatever. Like, I think he knew for sure. But this story seems like it would lend to, hey, I'm just like everybody else. I'm not in cahoots with these guys.
I'm reading a synopsis of something Zach Lowe, I guess, said, that this investigation could likely end up in a gray area, making a Timberwolves style punishment unlikely, in a smaller penalty, like maybe second round pick confiscations and a fine being most probable, leading that nothing's going to look any less shady. But to paraphrase, the hard evidence is not there. The circumstantial evidence is there. The hard evidence is not. And the big difference between the Timberwolves and the Clippers, there was hard evidence in the Timberwolves situation. There is not, at least that we're aware of yet, in this Clippers Kawhi situation.
Yeah,
Can't
but
wait to
we
hear
haven't
Kawhi
seen-
not address this in 3 weeks.
Kawhi was at the U.S. Open.
He was.
we haven't seen all the evidence yet either. Like, what
No,
we've
we haven't.
seen is circumstantial, but like, is there emails? And hey, if you have eyewitness accounts that are literally telling you, like Pablo Torre does, that this was all done with the idea to circumvent the cap, like, that's not circumstantial. That's firsthand account, and will be looked at differently. Like, the NBA is going to want to know.
You know what? The one thing I didn't understand about that is this was a financial person involved with aspiration. What do they know about circumventing the cap? Like, that was obviously something someone said to them, but in what context? Because then it remains circumstantial, and it becomes gossip at that point. Where did you hear this from?
Right.
And it, like, because who even uses the term, oh, we're doing this to circumvent the cap? LOL. Like, people don't talk like that. People outside of our world absolutely don't talk like that. So where did the phrase circumvent the cap come from as it pertains to that organization? Because someone introduced it.
I'm not saying he's innocent or nothing like that. I would be absolutely surprised. I'd be shocked with the way Ballmer spoke the other day if there was a paper trail of
me too.
hard evidence.
Me too.
That doesn't mean he could have just been smart
enough.
We
got the email that made the introduction. We showed it to everybody.
That could just mean he's smart enough to say things in person and not have a paper. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I would be shocked if three weeks from now we come back and here are the emails and the receipts of all that. Like, he spoke like he knew there was no paper trail.
Steve Ballmer, LLC, Venmo, Kawhi L. Aspire, $7 million 3 times.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what I think you guys are missing is that the NBA and the people that they usually trust in these situations to go in and figure these things out, they're not like your basic everyday average people. So, like, the Kings, for I don't know, 5 or 6 years, their head of security was a full-fledged Secret Service member for years, who was like a bodyguard for the president and the vice president of the United States. So, R.I.P. Tim. He passed away last year before the season started. The Kings head of security that had stepped away. But like the NBA has
I don't mean to
unlimited
chuckle,
resources.
but you're right. I understand what you're saying. Didn't someone embezzle like $14 million from the Kings?
But that's a different side.
Oh,
That's not.
That's the
That's
side
not
numbers.
like
That's that's that side.
that's where you have to
who
look
are
at
we
the corporate
circumventing
side.
the cap for when that guy embezzled $14 million?
Yeah, you're talking about the business side versus like the basketball side. Like the NBA's already sent they already acknowledge who it is that's actually going to look into this?
The law firm, yeah, it was
The
the
law firm.
same
Well,
law
that law
that
firm,
they used for Sarver and Donald Sterling.
yeah, those guys have like full-fledged FBI agents, former FBI agents on staff that, if they need to go and interview a guy in prison who runs that entire organization and have a conversation with him, they will. And so, like, this isn't like I just don't think that this is going to be like a super simple, cut and dry. Oh, they can't get the right information. If the information's out there, they're going to get it for the most part. And I know Steve Ballmer, again, he's a computer guy. I'm sure he's got his side of everything locked up and secure. Maybe he even used his Intuit,
Yeah.
ties to get that done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's just one side of it. There's the other side, which is a defunct, scam artist who's sitting in a jail cell somewhere, who's probably going to be more than willing to have a conversation.
White collar crime can be so ridiculous. Like, imagine someone going into hey, I need to speak to inmate 177-5438. Yeah, about what? Kawhi Leonard in the cap.
All
right, man.
And look, that's
all right.
That's the other thing.
Come on in.
And James, you're 100% right. But this guy who's sitting in jail, what does it serve me to do it? You can't lessen my sentence. This ain't this isn't. This isn't like, you're not going to help me in my life by me answering whether or not
Adam Silver going to ask the judge, hey man, let me holler at you for a second.
My
season tickets to the Lakers sound.
My sentence is going to be the same whether I tell you the truth or tell you everything I know or not. Now, if you could find a way to, hey, I could knock off 10 years off of what you're doing, now we're talking. But the cap is not going to knock 10 years off my sentence.
No, and especially you're up against, the Aspire people who could also have a secondary company called like Transpire, and they could be working a different angle to get money so none of this comes out. And, like we're in the weeds here for sure. But I would not just think, like, if Pablo Torre got to found these people that were willing to talk, the NBA will as well. They will. And the NBA will, like, their investigators likely will sit down with Pablo Torre and say, hey, what do you got for us? Show us what you have. Show us your line of attack, and we're going to listen. We're not doing it on a podcast, but we're going to sit here in a room. And if you can draw it on the whiteboard for us and connect all the links here, then we're more than willing to listen.
Well, it might have torpedoed the Keon Ellis is the first ever Leatherby's guy.
Leatherby.
He's our Gunther's guy, Keon Ellis. Well. So close, guys.
Damn.
So close.
Messed it up for everybody.
That's right.
What is the value of Keon Ellis, do you think? Like if we were talking an honest contract value, what do you think it is?
$448.
4 years, $48 million. Okay.
Yeah, that would be my guess right now.
Okay.
I mean, because, of course, that's with him, being under contract this season. like if he gets into into unrestricted free agency, I have a good feeling he's going to get the entire mid-level exception, which is going to be upwards of, well, it's between 14 and 15 million. Like there are a lot of people around the league that love Keon Ellis. And like, again, look at the ESPN like rankings of free agents coming into the summer. They had Keon as the number 6 free agent in this summer's class, not next summer, this summer right here that we're in. And of course that might change, and the Kings are going to have some sort of say in how much playing time he has and all that stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to negotiate right now. It could go 450, it could go 460. But I would hope that like a 448 would sort of be right around what you're hoping to get, a little bit less than what his buddy Herb Jones got.
I don't know. Charismatic says my lady is the GM at the Folsom Leatherbees. Like, hey, come on, man. Come on, man.
You got that guy here.
Let's talk.
We got action.
A little unusual. We actually have to let James go. James has some real life things he needs to go attend to. So James will be back with us on the Insiders tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're not going anywhere. We've got more football to